Hello there, it's Pete Checkley for Sample Library Review, and today I'm checking out Omnidrums by Have Instruments. Omnidrums promises to be a huge collection of sample kit drums with a huge scope for sound design. With all of the current percussive offerings out there, what could Omnidrums possibly do to set it out from the competition? Its big offering is that it's essentially two instruments in one, a straight-ahead drum library with a sound design library built in. With awesome demos and captivating videos on the Have Instruments website, I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. Omnidrums downloads at approximately 20 gigabytes and has over 50,000 samples, all in NCW format. There are 12 mixable mic positions, 34 factory patches, 16 blank user patches to create your own sets and presets, and Omnidrums requires full contact 5.8.1 or better. Omnidrums is described as a totally new drum experience by the developers Have Instruments. Now, each drum is recorded with an insane amount of detail. There are 12 dynamic layers and 8 round robins per sample. So yeah, the detail is there straight away. Now, it is a straight drum kit, and there are sort of 12 mics to mix with. Now, as a non-drummer, this is a great instrument to have because it kind of recreates having a drum kit in your studio. So looking at the GUI, it just looks absolutely fantastic. The design is absolutely great. It's all on one page, and yeah, all the color code keys at the bottom correspond. The purple on the left are your bass drums. Then you have your snares, which are green. The yellow are your toms. The sort of red are the hi-hats, and then the blues are the cymbals. So I'm refraining from playing at the moment because due to that level of detail, I need to turn off my mic. Otherwise, all you're going to hear is me hammering away at the keyboard. So let's hear the Omnidrum set, which is when you open the NKI file. It's only one NKI, by the way. When you open that, that's the default. And let's have a listen to how it sounds. So that's the original kit, and it just sounds like a person behind a kit just tapping away at the drums. Now, the one thing you get straight away, I was trying to show off the dynamic layers and the round robin, so I repeated a lot of the hits. And yeah, the level of detail is absolutely great. It sounds to me like a drum kit set up in a studio. It's a great sort of room sound, and yeah, it's just perfect. It's ready for processing. The sampling is absolutely excellent, and I think the attack and the way it feels to play is you know, it's just really, really responsive. Now, there is obviously volume discrepancy, as it were, between different sort of ways of playing and different instruments you're playing. So you just got to sort of be aware of that when you're playing or programming the kit. But first impressions, it's a very dry, really well sampled and very detailed drum kit. And we're going to move on and check out the GUI to give the instruments a bit more life. So look at the GUI, it just looks fantastic. I love the design, the texture that's gone onto it. It's just, yeah, it just shows it means business. Now we've got a large cube in the middle, which I'll talk about a lot in a minute. But let's just very quickly go through the GUI. So if you click there, you can see everything that is available. So different roles, just individual instruments. There's a massive variety of loops, stacks, and obviously the user banks at the bottom. I'm going to look at those in more detail shortly. If you click on the little pencil, you can start building a kit into your user slots. If I start playing them, excuse us any keyboard sound. But you can see that is changing and showing you which sample's being used. Okay, which is very, very cool. Now, if we go out of that, and then we have the dirt selector, which is part of the sound design. We have debris, we have quake, and then we have, it's like a little sheen, it's particles, and yeah, we'll talk about that in more detail. We have the arpeggiator. So as you can hear, the arpeggiator is just creating a rhythm for us, and you can sort of change that as you want. Let's change the octave. So that's bringing in more rhythms. Okay. Now, if I really hit my key hard, you can hear it a bit better. This is what I was saying about the volume discrepancy. But all that can be sorted out, obviously, with the massive range of 12 channels down the bottom. Then if I turn the arpeggiator off, we have reverb. So you've got all these different reverb selections. So I went straight in with a big reverb there. Let's go for a small ambience. And let's just try, I like the jazz hall. And obviously when I've turned the reverb on, it starts to bring it to life, and you sort of get more volume. And yeah, it sounds great. And then we have delay. There's a good ping pong delay there. And again, you can change how you want to do it. Okay, it didn't quite do anything. There we go, we're on the 16th. And there's different options. So you have obviously how much delay you want, the time multiplier, and the feedback. And that's everything you need in terms of effects. Obviously, I'll talk about the dirt selector in a bit. And then the warp, you can just go to the host DAW tempo, which in my case is 120, or you can go free and change that. So if I load up a loop, So you can change the tempo of the loop. Now I'm going to save the big cube in the middle because I want you to hear more of the kit. Now I'm going to leave the reverb on while I'm doing the demo. I absolutely love this jazz hall reverb, and you're going to get a sort of much better idea of how the kit would sound in the mix. So there we have Omnidrums in its most basic state. It's just all the different presets with some inbuilt reverb and someone just playing the different sounds that it contains. Now, the thing that really gets me is, first of all, the articulations. There are so many different ways that the drums are played, and obviously it's still got the 12 velocities and the 8 round robins. So obviously you got straight playing, you got all the flams, the brushwork. It just sounds really, really cool. Loads of rolls. There are jazz fills, and this kit really does lend itself to that sort of jazz style. Now, a lot of the loops are very jazz based. There's a lot of swing going on, but of course, programming a straight 4 loop is really, really straightforward, and there are some there as well. And I really like how the kits, like the 24 kit set, for example, that like the way it's laid out is kind of almost playable. So if I'm doing a really basic pattern, and I'm by no means a keyboard drummer, I just program my drums when I'm composing, but you know, they're quite usable if you have that skill. Now, I do use drum pads quite a lot, and I think this would lend itself to drum pads and finger drumming, but it's so responsive and so expressive. So for me, as a straight ahead kit, I'm really, really impressed. I love the detail, I love the sound, and the articulations. Anything you want. It's like an encyclopedia of drums. At the start of the video, I said that Omnidrums is a dual instrument. Okay, it has 2 instruments. It has the standard kit, which I think sounds fantastic. The articulations are great. The range, the different sounds, just everything about it is just comprehensive. It's very, very detailed, and I could find a lot of uses for the kit in a lot of different genres. Also, you have the sound design part. Now, we're going to look at the sound design. I'm using the 24 kick set, and I've put a large church reverb on just to emphasize everything. So the first thing I will look at is a reverse button. Now, I didn't mention this at the start, but you click reverse, any sample can be reversed. So let's just go for a cymbal. So already we're in sound design territory. Let's try the bass drum. And the snare. Okay, and there's one of the toms. Now, already I'm just thinking, wow, there's, you know, you got all your reverses down, every single sample, no matter how strange it is. So let's go to the odd cymbals. I really like this patch. Okay, so there's some odd cymbals. It will work on loops as well. Let's just go for 80 BPM loops. And here's probably where you might want to use the warp. So if I want to bring everything down. And you get some really cool sort of soundscapes and different sort of movement textures. And then just with the, let's go the Omni drum set. And I've add a tiny bit of delay. Okay, so that's the sort of riser effect. Now, the arpeggiator I sort of touched on a little bit, so let's go back. And the arpeggiator is great, so a bit more detail. You can change the direction. So let's just go up and down. The octave, the amount of octaves you play or put in, will obviously trigger a different amount of keys at the same time. So okay, so I'm tying down 3 keys there. You can change the rate and the amount of steps you're using. I'm just going to add the reverb again. So you can make some really easy and straightforward percussive loops. Now if I was to do a small ambience, so the arpeggiator can work for obviously non-sound design elements as well. Now I'm just going to click back to the host tempo. So the arpeggio is great, and delay I've already covered. Now the dirt selector, this is the really cool thing. So you have debris, quake, which is absolutely massive, and then the last one, I refer to it as particles, it's my mistake, it's actually glaze, and then you have like a shelf you can use for the amount of reverb that, not reverb, sorry, distortion that is applied. So I'm just going to turn that off very, very quickly. So let's just quickly hear them in action. Now if I choose, let's go back to the 24 kick set, and let's go back to large ambience. Okay, so I've selected the debris, which is a small distortion. And if we just start cranking it up. In fact, let's go to the large church. Okay, so that's a pretty well designed bass drum. Let's try it on the snare. And of course, you can assign that to the mod wheel. Okay. I'm going to turn off the debris and put the quake on. Now the quake is really quite aggressive. I absolutely love how the cube shakes in the middle. Such a cool design. Yeah, sounds absolutely great. But you can hear as it gets progressively added, it just builds. I'll wait for it to subside. It just builds to a huge crescendo. Sounds absolutely brilliant on a cymbal. Let's reverse it as well. Sounds brilliant. And then the last one is all about just adding the sheen on top. So it's the glaze. So if I just play that, let's go back with the bass drum. Oh, I forgot we're on reverse. That's fine. I'll play it down here. Now you can stack all these together, or I'm just going to talk about the shelf, so you can change this. pretty aggressive. It's going to go back. Now if I add all three, it could get quite loud, so I'll do it gradually. Okay, so I'm peaking a little bit there as I hit it harder. So bring that down. Now, how can you use that to make, like, you know, sort of really cool sounds? If I go back to the loops and just play a loop. Okay, so not really much going on there. I'll start bringing the distortion in. And then let's add the arpeggiator. I'm going to bring the rate down. Excuse me. Okay, so the minimum is 16. Or 16th notes, I should say. Let's add some delay. I'm going to go off the loops and just go to the Omnidrums set again. And we have 2 octaves. Let's just try. So the distortion is quite crazy. I'm just going to turn the delay off. Okay, and you can just spend ages creating your own patterns. So let's go slightly change this one. And in this case, just drawing it in. Okay, so okay, so you could just spend hours and hours and hours experimenting, playing, finding different things. Obviously, with the dirt selector, adding saturation, distortion, is just, you know, it's really, really cool. It works really, really well, and it's effective. The sound design element of Omnidrums is really, really fun. You could spend hours just messing around with the settings, creating different loops, and also just putting the different effects onto all the many different articulations. So as a 2-in-1 instrument, it works really, really well. Now the final thing is the mixer down the bottom, and you can just turn it on, turn the original mix off, and activate the different mics. So if I'm just on the kick mic, still on the arpeggiator, I'm just going to turn everything off. So there's the kick. Also, I can bring it down, I can pan it left and right, and you can do that for every single mic in the room. So I'm just going to turn all these on, and we have our overheads on the left and right, and then we have the room mic. So you can adjust everything to your liking, and it is just like having a drum kit right in front of you in your home studio, which is really, really useful. So I'm just playing the same ones there, just very conscious of the key noise. So, you know, when you're working and you think, oh yeah, I want the hats a little bit lower or a bit more snare, it's really, really easy to do. So I'll just turn that on, off, and just put the original mix back on, and it is back at the default. So my final thoughts about Omnidrums are, as a standalone kit, it's absolutely fantastic. It's detailed, it's comprehensive, lots of articulations and lots of different kits sampled. It can work for a lot of different styles, and if you are really good at drum processing, I'm sure you'll get the results you want. It is like having a kit in your studio at home, and you can mess around with all the different microphones, so the 12 microphone settings, and add some basic reverbs should you need to. I say basic, I mean just room and ambient reverbs. Now, the sound design element for me is absolutely great. The arpeggiator is fantastic. You can build loads of different loops, the different reverb styles. The reverbs do sound really sort of rich and atmospheric. The delay does exactly what it needs to. It does delay, there's ping pong delay. It works really, really well. The fact you can warp like the tempo makes it, I suppose, really easy to set everything you've done, like the arpeggiator or the loops, and just slightly vary it as you go. And then obviously you have the host tempoing, but the reverse functions and the dirt selector, absolutely fantastic. That's what gives it that really good sort of hybrid sound design element. I love the GUI. I love the cube in the middle that just keeps sort of moving and shaking and just, earth shuddering. And as it's set up, the Omnidrum, like the different factory patches, I guess, they're really, really useful and versatile. But it's so cool that you can build your own kits and make your own playable kits. So if you're a drum pad user or you're really good at keyboard drumming, then it's absolutely ideal to customize and build the instrument. So who do I think Omnidrums is for? Well, it's for anyone who needs a really good solid kit in their drumming arsenal. Now, it's like I say, a really detailed kit, sounds absolutely fab. It will fit into all your compositional needs, even something so light as just sort of gently playing the ride cymbal. It's just going to work. I love the sound design elements, so I think the sound design it can find its way into like hybrid work, trailer work, and there's lots of ways you can manipulate it. When you start adding other effects to it, like external third-party effects, you're going to get some really, really cool results as well. So yeah, for me, just like I say, anyone who needs a drum kit in their productions, I do strongly recommend Omnidrums. So thank you once again for checking out the first look review of Omnidrums. Please feel free to leave a comment below and give us a like if you like what you saw. How would you use Omnidrums in your workflow? What do you like about it? And obviously, please check out our other videos, subscribe to our channel, and pop over to samplelibraryreview.com for everything that is wonderful in the world of virtual instruments. Have a great day and take care.